Our next comedian coming to the stage is known as the serial killer of comedy. So put your hands together for Sick Vic. Give it up!
It doesn't bother my in-laws I was in jail for murder anymore. I killed them. I would never burn down a police station. I would have no place to live. I saved my neighborhood from a homicidal maniac. I left town. I have a bad social life. I stopped talking to myself. I'm not nervous when I rob a bank because they never notice the rolls of toilet paper missing from the bathroom. I'm very upfront with my wife. I told her if she bleaches her mustache, she'll still look like a water buffalo. She's a dumb Pollock who improved her life by getting her GED. She already had a doctorate. She tells me I'm bad in bed. I don't know if it's because I always fall asleep or I get in the milkman's way. We didn't have turkey last Thanksgiving because she's a bad cook. Before we could eat it, it pooped on the appetizer. When she gets car sick, she throws up. I don't know if it's because the way I drive or I strap her to the fender. I love walking into a stranger's house. It's the only time a woman screams for me. I stopped being an alcoholic because it was ruining my life. Every day I was showing up for work. And to have a good life, I don't drink. Last time I got drunk, I returned all the credit cards I stole. I felt bad when my loan shark died. I wasted $5 on a Mother's Day card. In jail, my mother would always cry when she saw me on visiting day. So I stopped visiting her. Some priests from my Catholic grade school are not retired. I see them on America's Most Wanted. The day I was married, the church was packed with my relatives. After the wedding, they were all crying because my wife was the only one allowed to leave the prison. My friend Butch was the best man at my wedding. Oh, we've been through a lot together. She's my parole officer. I tell people I have a jacuzzi in my house because my wife farts in the bathtub. My wife and I have been married for 10 years and we haven't had one fight. I don't know if it's because we have nothing to argue about or we never speak to each other. I never mug old people. I help them across the street. It's an easier way for me to pick their pocket. And once I mugged a blind old man. And as well, I found a picture of my wife. I gave him his money back. I always drive sober. I don't kill anyone for free. Driving in this day and age, I'd never pick up a hitchhiker. It's too much of a hassle for me to bury the body. My shrink tells me I'm normal, but I'm all alone when I hear him say it. My wife and I were happily married for 10 years. Then we stopped cheating on each other. My poor uncle married a rich old widow. Their pictures turned out nice in their honeymoon in Florida. He has a good one of the alligator eating her head. Hey, I'm not a bum. I shower every morning. And then I'm out of the house before the owner gets home. Price of gas is going down. Before it cost me $3.99 to fart. I knew a 4-foot bald man who had no woman. I put cologne on his head and it helped. A tall blonde lady took him home. She thought he was a dumb roll-on stick. The eye bowl. It's a shame everyone on the female league is married. They're so ugly, everyone thinks their husbands are blind, desperate, or drunk. But we're not. A guy told me, he says, I saw you here about 2 weeks ago, you did a great job. I said I wasn't there. He said exactly. I didn't like my mother-in-law, so it didn't bother me when she died. Piranhas don't leave a trace. And now, my famous impression of John Gotti. My shirt looks like Cindy Crawford. I never mentioned it because it might hurt his feelings. Once the police came to my house and told my parents I died in a car accident. When I came home that night, that's when they started crying. Well, since I was a bad kid, they prayed for me every night, but I never died. I come from a poor family. When I was 4, I thought we lived in the nicest mobile home. When I was 12, I realized it was a rent-a-car. Once I caught a beautiful female thief in my house. I told her, if you sleep with me, I won't call the police. She called the police on me. Hey, I don't suffer from insanity. I love it. I don't need another woman in my life. I have 9 of them in my basement. Once when I was married, a woman asked me out, and I told her, I don't think you and I will ever have what my wife and I have. A restraining order! I have a beautiful baby girl at home, but I'm not giving it up until I get the ransom. Even though my brother's slow, he worked hard to get into Harvard. Took him 3 days to find the main entrance. In jail, my other brother's a model prisoner. I don't know if it's because he's well behaved or he looks good in high heels and a miniskirt. My sister has so much hair in her left armpit, it looks like she's got Whoopi Goldberg in a headlock. My great-grandmother survived the Titanic. She watched the whole 3-hour movie without falling asleep. She carries a gun because she lives in a bad neighborhood. Could you blame her? She's the only serial killer. She has Alzheimer's. Only one thing, she doesn't know it. Even though my grandfather's 98 years old, he loves Christmas. He's excited about the tree. It's the one time he could do wee-wee in the living room. In my neighborhood, there was a tough Jewish gang called the Horrible Hebrews. Ooh, they were bad. At night, they would break into stores and lower the prices. Once I found an English bulldog in the park and took it home. The cops came after me. It was Roseanne Barr with no makeup on. A bum and a bag lady had a nice wedding. The wife was mad because a lot of uninvited people came. I told her the same thing would have happened on the F train. I know a Polish gangster who got a $10,000 contract to kill himself. I failed the physical to get into the Gambino crime family. I'm 200 pounds underweight. I'm scared of being sent to a hardcore prison. I know what's in there waiting for me. My grandmother. I have friends of mine in jail who will rat, lie, and kill to get out. But they don't get off guard duty till 6 a.m. Prison food hasn't improved. Now you can make a box cutter out of a grilled cheese sandwich. I drove a taxi cab. Once I drove a 104-year-old woman to the airport. When we got there, I didn't know if she was dead or alive, so I left her in the trunk. I was a good kid in school. I never got one detention. They just added time to my sentence. When I was a kid, I had a job, and my boss was like a father to me. He came to work drunk every day and beat me. I was an ugly kid. When I was born, my parents put themselves up for adoption. When I ran away as a kid, they felt like a failure. I always came home. When I was in jail, nobody messed with me because of who I was. Run those woman! My wife got run over by a truck after she had a facial. It was the first time I told her she looked good coming out of the salon. I cried at my mother-in-law's funeral. My wife made me go. I told my shrink I feel like a ticking time bomb just waiting to go off. He threw me out the window. I asked my wife if she wanted to play golf. She played 18 holes with her gynecologist. I just read in the paper the other day that Charles Manson just got arrested for selling drugs to prisoners. Ooh, he's in a lot of trouble. Well, I better get back to the nut house before they do the bed check. You guys been a great audience.